Greetings to one and all. We are very happy to invite everybody to this 5 weeks session of understanding the journey of the heart region. Knowledge helps us and motivates us with our practice. So that is the efforts by the grace of the elders, the great masters, that we are trying to make, is to make efforts to understand this journey so we can practice with dedication. And this journey is all about mastering our senses, refining our senses. Because until the senses, the indriyas, including the mind, fall into a proper order, tenderness and the softness of the heart does not develop. That is why the yogic sadhanas, the spiritual practices, are designed in such a way that the senses are resting and refined. And when that happens, the heart becomes soft. And only when the heart is real soft, peace descends in the heart. And this requires penance of refinement. And that is about the journey of the heart. And next, to purify the self, any habits we have and any emotions that are against our nobility of our character, they need to be corrected. Our habits and emotions that are against the nobility of our character need to be corrected. And our tendencies need refined and they need to arrive at perfection. And that is the journey of the heart. And to achieve heights requires disciplined training. We have to train ourselves with discipline. So to achieve heights requires disciplined training to develop a set of real skills. And that is the sadhana, the practice required to journey the heart. Without the practice, dedicated practice, it is not possible to journey through the heart and progress. Because the masters always say, practice is in your hands, progress is in our hands. But without us practicing, they can transmit to us until eternity, but we will not move forward. That is the individual human will. So our practice requires our will, our cooperation, our longing to move forward in this journey of the heart. And Babaji Maharaj says, mastery over the heart region, which is known as the Pinda Pradesh, is mastery over individuality. That is perfect control of the individual. And so mastery of the heart region is about mastering our character. And that is why the great Lalaji Maharaj has said, without character formation, spirituality has no significance. Today's topic of the journey of the heart, we are going to understand the journey of the first point, which is known as the earth point. The earth point, which signifies the balance, contentment of the human being. So let us explore, understand the nuances of this. And please note that there is a lot of subject to cover in this first day, so we may go over little in the time. But it is all useful for our growth, for our understanding, for our development. So let me share my screen without further delay, and let us together learn and move through this journey. So essential practices for journey through the heart region, which is the first point known as the earth point. First, we have to understand why should we master each chakra, each knot, each point, as it is called. I would like to play a video which is from the Nasadiya Sukta, which makes us understand the beginning. What was the beginning? And this is from the Rig Veda.
Nasadasidho sadasidatanim nasidrajonovyo maparoyate kimavariva kuhakasya sharmannam bhakimasid gahanam gaviram na mrityurasidamritam natarinaratrya anha asid praketaha Anītapatam sadhaya tadekam tasmādhānyanna parah kinchanasa Tamāsīt tamasā gūಢamagre praketam salilam sarvamāhidam Tucchednāvapahitayyadāsī tapasastanmahina jāyataikam Kāmastadagre samavartatādhimanaso retah prathamam yadāsīt Sato bandhumasati niravindan hridi pratishya kavayo manisha Tirascino vitato rashviresha madhasvidāsīt uparisvidāsīta Retudha sanmahimana asatsvadha avastat prayatih parastat Ko atthaved kariha prabhu Chatkuta ajātākutayam visrushtihi Arvākteva asya visarjanenāthā ko vedayata ababhuva Iyam visrushtiryata ababhuva yadiva dadhe yadivana Yo asyadhyakshah paramevyo panso angaveda yadivana veda Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om.
So this beginning, how revered Babaji Maharaj describes as there was a stir in the center And the creation began from that. And the profound statement from this Rig Veda Nasadiya Sukta, which was praised by revered Babuji, because it is close to truth. And that is, there is neither darkness nor light. God did not know where the beginning was, for he was not there when the beginning was. So that brings it to the concept of the center, that female principle, the principle of Shakti as it is called, known as Bhuma. But even that does not know when it began or when it did not begin. And the heat that was created, where desire was born, led to the creation. And as this vibration of that descended, as human being was born into this universe, that energy descended as knots. The flow of that thought down to the existence is characterized by several twists and turns, and these twists are the knots. So these knots were tied because when they were loose, there was energy flow in them. But as human beings started to live life, perform action, and started to create so many impressions into himself, these knots became tighter, and there was no more energy flow in us. So we came down from that subtle light states of being to heavy states of being. So now the journey is to go back, move from where we are to move towards that ultimate state of absolute balance, ultimate bliss. And that is the journey. The original method that the yogic sages used was the Kala Chakra method, where the energy points were in the spine. They are still in the spine. Everything exists. But very few could move forward because of the flow from the above, like a waterfall. To withstand that journey, the power of that falling from above was not easy for human beings to move into the higher dimensions. So somebody as great as Lalaji Maharaj and Babuji Maharaj and all the sages of the yore together, they created a new way, the heartfulness way. And imagine the waterfall is there, and nowadays we have, when our main highway has traffic jam, we have bypass roads. So the great masters created a bypass journey for human beings to travel quick and safe to reach this state of absolute balance. And that is the birth of the heart region. And Babuji he never calls them chakras. He calls them as knots or lotuses, if you observe his language. The reason why is because that flow of thought that came down to existence had several twists and turns, and that turned, and these twists are the knots. And the traditional method was cutting those knots. But in the heartfulness way, they are loosened to enable the flow back to the base. And this is the yatra, the flow of the thought. Inside each knot has the nature of whirling nature. It is the thought flow, the vibration that's whirling. And when the knots were tied, there was no flow of this thought. It could not move. And that's how we feel heaviness. And the journey through these knots is called yatra. Within the point and in between, moving to other points, the other chakras or knots or lotuses. Pranahuti, which is the life force emanating from the consciousness of the living guide, is what supports this journey. Pranahuti is the ultimate help, the be-all and end-all of this spiritual journey. Without this vibration of life force from the living guide's consciousness, this journey is not possible. So here, the individual effort is supported by the transmission, the pranahuti. Through the process of pranahuti, the adept in the field, that is the guide, infuses light, which travels through different centers, and a sort of vibration is felt by the aspirant even in advanced levels. So this is the heart region that we want to understand in the next 5 weeks. And when the beginning was there, the first elements that came into existence were the fire and water, where space was the background, like consciousness. Space was the background, and fire and water were the first elements. And then earth and air were formed. And these became stronger in the heart region when they came into Pinda Pradesh, known as the heart region. These elements became stronger. That's why air can influence the water, and there could be turmoil. Air can influence the fire, and there could be turmoil. That is why air is an illusion point. So in this heart region, we have 5 points. The first is the earth-based, earth-dominated point. And in this earth-dominated point, there are several sub-points. And the second point is the ether point, where space is dominating. Ether is dominating. Third is the fire point. Fourth is the water point. And fifth is the air point. And within this first point, there are several sub-points, which are called A, B, C, D. And within this first point itself, the field of upper consciousness, lower consciousness exists. The entire journey is moving our lower consciousness to this upper consciousness area. And this point A is a very powerful vibratory field, which is directly connected to the superconscious field of the guide and the source itself. That is why Babaji Maharaj says, the heartbeat is like the pendulum-like movement in the center. It is connected directly to the center. So this field of the human being, this heart region, is a very powerful program. This needs to be maintained. And not only the visible points that we have, every cell in itself is a chakra in itself. So every cell needs to be divinized, and every cell needs to come to a state of balance, absolute balance, where there is no darkness, there is no light, there is no luminosity, and the system is akin to the absolute balance. That is why we played that statement from the Rig Veda. There is no light nor day. That is why the color of that ultimate divinity is known as the dawn. Neither darkness nor light. There is no luminosity there. And everything is in a state of absolute simplicity, purity, harmony, and balance. So for us to experience that ultimate divinity, we have to arrive at that states. The state that we are in right now, filled with impurities, cannot completely merge with that ultimate state. We have the mundane example of oil and water. When the oil is in the water, it stands by itself. When that impurity of the oiliness is removed, the water becomes one with the ocean. And this is called mergence. So we have to understand that mastering the heart region is a very important element of the practice. Revered Babaji Maharaj says, if the journey, the yatra is neglected, the man cannot become so dynamic. He says, when we travel through the chakra, we absorb the whole of the power of that chakra. So in this class, we are going to understand how we can meditate and travel within the chakra, within the point. How can we bring our awareness and consciously journey within the chakra? Because without practicing that, we cannot truly absorb the essence of the chakra. What is the essence of the first point? Earth. What is the quality of the earth? Balance. Immense tolerance, because earth absorbs everything, allows everything, and earth is in a state of witness. It does not judge. It carries the sinner as well as the saint on its body. It carries everybody equally. It does not judge. So these are the qualities that we need to absorb and become one with it and bring that point to a state of no darkness, no light, no luminosity, and to a state of absolute balance, to merge. So hence the need to journey within the chakra. And Lalaji Maharaj says, controlling prana, the life force, is controlling nature. The power pervading in every particle. So in every cell of our being, prana exists. The power pervading in every particle is called prana. And it is there since the beginning of creation. So to control prana means controlling nature. So the first and foremost aim of the various practices of yoga is to free the individual from the bonds which put limitations on prana. So these bonds we can talk about as knots. In Lalaji's language, he used the word bond. It is knots. So free the individual from the knots which puts limitations on prana. It is the knotted state that is not allowing the prana to flow freely within the chakra and liberate us. And once these knots or bonds are loosened, one feels as if he is jumping into a higher state, which in course of time develops into a state of merger. So when these knots are loosened, the flow of the prana is there, and that's how we merge in each point. So what is crossing this heart region is the spiritual training starts with the heart region, and an aspirant is kept there for a sufficiently long time because it takes time to master ourselves. To achieve heights, it requires disciplined training, and we need to develop a set of real skills. And this is the sadhana that is required to move through the heart region. So as long as one does not cross the region himself with the help of the guide, it is desirable that he is not given further approach. That is why to master the heart region is of the most important part, where we strengthen our character. Because when in a house, when the foundation is not strong, at some point there is cracks and breaking apart. So this makes the journey of the heart, makes his base stable, the roots are strengthened, and there is no chance for fall. And many great saints could not cross the heart region, and a complete journey through it is rare. This is what Babaji Maharaj says in his whispers. And he clarifies, the points are opened by way of shadowy reflection, but the capability of completing the journey has not been found in anyone. Why is he making this statement? Because in heartfulness method, we know that the prefects, the trainers, are empowered to transmit this vibration, has been given an approach up to the 6th point. But that is in a reflective way, a shadowy way, but that is not reality. The shadow is not reality. It's been given to you, like the path has been cleared for you, but you have to travel on it. Just because you have a GPS and a car, it doesn't mean that you have reached the destination. Only when you travel, you reach the destination. So long as the journey is not completed, perfect mastery is not acquired. So it is this journey of the heart that requires the longest period. So what is crossing the heart region, according to the great masters? Lord Krishna said, the being needs to arrive at the state of Sthita Prajna. Sthita Prajna is this state of absolute balance. And this is what sage Patanjali also said. And revered Daji says, the being needs to arrive at the state of cheerful acceptance and inner poise. This cheerful acceptance is a state of total surrender and a state of witnesshood and inner poise to cross the heart region, where the being has immense generosity of heart to move to the cosmic region. Because according to Daji, the qualification to move to the cosmic region is immense generosity of the heart. The heart has to love. It should be able to love. And according to revered Babuji, the being needs to arrive at the state of absolute insignificance to arrive at the final goal. That's utmost humbleness. That is why if we observe the masters, they're very humble beings. They radiate innocence, simplicity. And until and unless we arrive at that states, this true emergence is not possible. And for us to arrive at those states, we have to constantly let go of so many things, bring transformation deep in the core of our character. And that transformation is possible with the dedicated practice of the heartfulness method and along with mastering each chakra. So this state of Sthita Prajna talked about by Lord Krishna, it is the state of being of steadfast wisdom. This is what sage Patanjali calls it, Viveka Khyati, Viveka, discrimination, ability of pure seeing, where senses are subdued and intellect is anchored in the self. So the senses are refined and the main sense, the mind, is resting in the self. The mind and the senses are under the control of such intellect. Like a farmer using the bullocks for plowing, the being who is in the state of this inner poise, accepting everything cheerfully, uses his senses which are in balance for the pursuit of Swadharma. And what is that Swadharma? Your duty, the duty of the self, is to reach this final state of absolute balance or absolute insignificance through mergence or laya. This is the Swadharma that Lord Krishna talked about. The duty of the self is to reach this state of absolute balance and absolute insignificance through mergence. And arriving at this state of Sthita Prajna is only possible by mastering each chakra with the help of the technique of AEIOU given by revered Daji and the Pranahuti. And we will explore how to practice this AEIOU. So according to revered Daji, the essence of the Bhagavad Gita is skill in action, struggle for self-mastery, and then the being comes to a state of selfless service. So what are the signs of mastering this heart region? How do we know that we have at least even moving forward? How do we know where we are? Heart region will be revealed to be the sacred altar for all stages of sublimity, nobility of the thought. So when we ask our own heart, we usually ask others, am I progressing? Where am I? We should ask our own heart. If we are able to reflect the qualities, say if you have mastered the first point, we should be able to reflect this quality of balance, of tolerance, of patience, And then we know that we have crossed that region. If it is left apart or not touched, the sublime condition at all other points will remain weak. And here, revered Daji is saying that if we don't journey thoroughly within the point, we miss out on the nuances of the point. We totally don't absorb the entire essence of the point. And so at other levels, we miss out. A mundane example, if we don't study well in the first grade, second grade, we don't learn our alphabets and we don't learn our timetables, math properly. As we grow higher and higher, at some point, we cannot progress further because the foundation is not there. So how will the foundation be firm? By journeying through it. So the feeling of the presence of the heart, oneness with God, interest, longing, craving, and bliss are qualities or attributes of the heart. These are the signs of mastering the heart region. And that's said by revered Lalaji. So what is a real state of enlightenment? This real state of enlightenment comes when we get into full consciousness of the condition of enlivenment, and after imbibing its effect, secure our merging in it. We are aware of it. The consciousness has expanded to such an extent, we are aware of our state of being. And when we develop this state and merge into this consciousness, we come to know all about it and thus become enlightened up to that extent. So Layavastha is the goal. Not the final goal. The intermediate goal that will take us to that absolute. So what is Layavastha? It is a state of merging. Merging really refers to a state of settledness in the condition at a certain point or not, arrived at by the practitioner. So what does mergence means? Are we just jumping into something? Like we are jumping into a water pool? The meaning that revered Daji gives is, it is a state of settledness in the condition. So when you merge completely with point one, the earth point, you feel balance inside you. Everything else may happen outside, but you are able to manage, you are able to remain steady. Because now your ability to lift has increased, the ability to bear has increased. Like when we learn to lift weights. In the beginning, you lift 5 pounds, 10 pounds, and then you are really mastering at it. So even if you have only practiced with 10 pounds, suddenly 12 pounds is thrown at you, you're able to manage because you have mastered holding 10. So you're able to be balanced to hold that 12 pounds. That is settledness in the condition. So when after sufficient practice, the practitioner is able to secure his entry into a certain point, knot or grandhi. And this is the beginning of the yatra. And this is done with the permission of the living guide by the trainers. When the seeker practices regularly, the instructions by revered Daji is to start their journey. What is this start their journey? With the power of the transmission, with the power of the will. A push is given in the motion, like say in the earth point, in a clockwise direction, there is a push given. So the movement of that energy starts to happen. It's like turning your air conditioning on. There is a momentum given. So the air condition turns on and now the room gets cool. So when after sufficient practice, the practitioner is able to secure his entry into a certain knot or grandhi, he goes around in it for some time, touring the place in order to acquire a thorough experience of it. By this process, he begins to absorb in him the state prevailing at that place. As you tour the town, you understand what is in this town. What are the habits of this town? Who are the people living in the town? Same way with meditation, as we journey through within the point, we start to absorb what is prevailing in that place and what is prevailing in the first point, the qualities of the earth. When he becomes saturated with it, his merging has then come into effect. When we become saturated with it, our settledness has come into effect, and this is known as Layavastha. And the next state is called, in this emergence, identicality, which is known as sarupyata. But the consciousness of the condition we have by now arrived at also exists. And as long as the consciousness of the condition exists, emergence is not matured to fullness. So in this emergence, you have to totally become identical. You are not even aware. The awareness moves towards nothingness. For this, we have to proceed to acquire the state of settledness, which is termed as identicality or sarupyata. That means sameness of form and illumination. The condition, the illumination of yourself needs to match with the illumination of that place. And sayujyata, the next level of emergence, is complete union. This again is not the final phase. Still it has developed into a still finer state of sayujyata, complete union. And that union is with the condition of the guide. You are merging with the superconscious state of the guide. Why is that? Why do you need the guide's condition in between to merge with the source? We cannot directly merge with the source because the source is nothing. And so, like a diving board has this, when people are jumping into the pool, there is a diving board and they jump on the diving board to fall into the pool. So also Guru's consciousness becomes the diving board for the seeker to merge in that ultimate. So you always merge with the consciousness. You become identical with the condition of the guide. So this again is not the final phase till it has developed into a still finer state of sayujyata, complete union with the condition of the superconscious state of the guide, where the impressions of the state of merging and identicality also become extinct. So like first you fall into the water, then you melt, and then you become one with it. So at every point, the process of merging and identicality repeats itself. Layavastha by revered Daji is described as AEIOU by revered Daji. First is acquiring the condition, means to own the condition. We have to meditate long enough to feel it. And when we get up, we should feel that during the day. And live in the condition means giving it life by brooding, where whatever we do, our self is connected with that condition and you can feel it. Imbibing the condition means soaking or drinking in it. And oneness with the condition means the quality of singleness. You are it. And uniting with the condition means the real act of becoming one. Journey and feel merged and settled at each sub-point is the Layavastha. And revered Lalaji Maharaj says to revered Babuji on May 12, 1945, perfect the signs which you have begun and you negate yourself in the condition. What is negation? Letting go of ourselves. Perfect the signs which you have begun, and if you negate yourself in the condition which exists behind the stir of the ultimate and transmit, it will have powerful effect. Ramchandra has just now improved the method. Babuji has discovered a new method for this mergence to happen. And what is this method? That is, first of all, one should destroy the darkness of the particles of the stir which are present in man. Then the brightness or the light, which can also be called a kind of matter, should be withdrawn. The third thing is the brightness which is there in the particles for a pretty long period, and the effect of which they have absorbed in themselves should also be removed. And now there is purity. So at every chakra, the journey is the darkness is gone, light is gone, luminosity is also gone. And then the point is coming to a state of natural purity. And this results from the work that happens from the guide as he transmits to each being. The point which the sages and the saints have not attained remain far off even after years of worship, and by meditation is attained at the very first step by this method with the help of transmission. So Lalaji Maharaj is saying, as you transmit and as the Guru makes the sankalpa, the darkness is removed, the light is removed, luminosity is removed, the point is coming to an absolute balance. And when he connects this point of our evolution to the ultimate, then we become one with it, merged with it, and then we acquire the quality of that balance of the earth. And this is possible with transmission. In the journey, we arrive at this state of avyaktagati, undifferentiated state, where there is no more illusion. And that is what transmission does too. Darkness is removed, light is removed, brightness is removed. Point comes to a state of balance, which is identical with the absolute, the original. This is known as avyaktagati, or undifferentiated state, the condition devoid of illusion. In the journey of point 1, Revered Daji says, we learn to work with our likes and dislikes, with the pull of our desires, including worldly worries, greed, jealousy, resentment, self-pity, sensuality, lust, guilt, and shame. And how do we master these emotions? That is why in the past 8-week session, we have given different techniques. The most important techniques are working with this point ABCDs. At point B, before morning meditation, when we make the sankalpa that these lower tendencies are leaving my heart's field, and the soul is becoming lighter and purer and is glowing in brightness, and then you meditate day after day. As we do this, we become better human beings, because these lower tendencies are very heavy. They pull the soul down. They won't let our consciousness expand. They won't let us vibrate in the higher dimensions. So without these practices, we cannot progress further. So when we master these emotions, as a result of purifying, how do we purify? Point B, cleaning and traversing the chakra, a natural feeling of contentment and lightness develops. The beauty of the earth element of chakra is it supports and allows everything. It is utterly accepting without judgment. It is the state of immense toleration and a state of witness. So when we develop this quality of tolerance, witness, forbearance, we develop the quality of the Mother Earth, becoming so loving and accepting everything. So if somebody asks me, have I crossed the first point? Then we have to look into ourselves. Nobody can tell you the answer. Do we have these qualities? Even an iota of this quality, have we acquired it? So when there is imbalance of the first chakra, Daji gives us clues of what are we going to feel when you are not balanced. When our first chakra is not in balance, it expresses through our consciousness as difficulties with our daily survival. We can't even do day-to-day the normal things because we are not balanced. Problems with legs, knees, and feet because we are not grounded. And in general, as not being grounded. That is why it is recommended that we walk on the earth with bare feet. That's how our ancestors used to walk. Because when they walked on the earth, they absorbed the energy of the earth. And arriving at a state of harmony. All the chakras or the points should be taken one by one. And after purifying their condition with that of the ultimate, they should be harmonized with it in such a way that the ultimate appears to be excited in its condition. So when darkness is removed, light is removed, luminosity is removed, point is come to a point of purity and balance. Now you connect that with the absolute and merging is possible. Now we have removed the oil around the drop. So the water drop can merge with that ocean. Then, as told in the first method, the condition of harmony should be merged in the ultimate. And this is the work of the master that he does. So the heart region, the first point. In this first point, we already talked about earth is the first point. And in the heart region, there is dualities. You are contented and balanced in the positive sense, or you are an imbalanced being. At the point 2, there is calmness and peace. When it is negative, there is discontent. When point 3 is in balance, there is compassion and love. When it is in the negative side, there is anger, emotional instability in us. At point 4, there is courage in us. When it is unstable, there is fear. At point 5, when it is mastered and stable, there is clarity, wisdom, discernment. When it is not there, it is disillusionment. So the earth point, the color is yellow. The location is lower left side of the chest, approximately 3.5 fingers below your left nipple is point 1. And the subpoints are ABCDs. And the positive qualities are contentment, balance, passion, patience, tolerance, acceptance, forbearance, non-judgment. And the negative tendencies that we let go as we practice the subpoints and the meditation at this point is we let go of discontentment, imbalance, desire, jealousy, greed, selfishness, sensuality, and anger. And this point, the anatomy of this point is similar to the anatomy of point 6 and point 11, which will we see in the next few slides. And the earth element in each point connects with each other, and it creates an energy field, and which is known as the Annamaya koshas, the physical sheath, which supports our physical body. So this is how the anatomy of the point 1 is. Like how in our physical body, we have our intestines, we have our heart, we have our lungs, and everything need to function. And our physical body is also made up of these 5 elements, the Panchabhutas. Our energy body, which is the subtle body, is also made up of the 5 elements. And each chakra in itself is also made up of these 5 elements. And when these 5 elements are in balance, the point is in balance. When they are disturbed, our point is disturbed. When the point is disturbed, we lose our balance. And this is what Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita has said. When the human being, because of his performance of actions and when negative impressions are taken and his balance is disturbed, and that affects the next point where he doesn't have peace, that affects the next point where he is emotionally unstable, and it further affects the next point where fear is created in the being, and then the person with fear falls apart and he is in a state of illusion and the being lost his balance. And that is what happened to Arjuna in the field of the Bhagavad Gita. War was happening. That's when he lost his balance, looking at everybody and everything around. And so what did Lord Krishna do? He transmitted the prana into Arjuna's heart, where all the chakras came into a state of balance and moved him from that heart region to the cosmic region, where he perceived everything is divine. It is not he who is doing it, because the clear perception has happened in him. Only when we master all the chakras, master the 5th point, that clear perception happens. And that is what Lord Krishna did to Arjuna, was to bring all the chakras to a state of balance and bring Arjuna to the state of clear perception, state of wisdom, state of sthita prajna, so he could perform his duty, swadharma. So the same anatomy is in point 1, point 6, and point 11. And that is why if we notice, a lot of times Master would be working on our point 1. And we say, oh, I'm feeling vibration at my forehead. Oh, I'm feeling vibration in the back of my head. And we assume, because of these vibrations, that we are journeying in point 6 or 11. But the work is only happening at point 1. We can only assume that we are at that place when we truly have the qualities, where we truly are divine and totally generous. Then your heart will guide you where you are moving. And earth element in each chakra that I just talked about is connected with the earth element in the other chakras, creating the field of the Annamaya kosha. If you notice, earth is the major background in the earth element, first point, and that is connected with the earth element in the ether point. And how these elements are is, in the center is earth in the first point. At 12 o'clock, the next element quality is there. The next element is ether. At 3 o'clock, the following element, fire. At 6 o'clock, the following element, water. At 9 o'clock, the following element, air will be there. So at first point 2 is at 12 o'clock, point 3 is at 3 o'clock, point 4 is at 6 o'clock, point 5 is at 9 o'clock. And when you move to the second point, if you notice, ether is at the center, third point, fire is at 12 o'clock, 2, 3. Point 4, water is at 3 o'clock. Point 5, the next point, air is at 6 o'clock, earth is at 9 o'clock. So if you notice, it is 9, 6, 3, 12, and connect. At 9 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 12 o'clock. And this pattern repeats itself in every kosha, every chakra, if you notice. So just like how all elements are present in each chakra, like how all the elements, ether, fire, water, air, is all present in each chakras, the senses, our human senses are also connected to each chakra. So earth is connected to the smell, the sense of smell, nose. So, and again, just like how one element is dominant in each chakra. So first point, what is the dominant element? Earth. And one indriya is dominant in each chakra. So what is the dominant? When you master this earth point, we should master the sense of smell. So you're able to, Babaji used to smell the condition. It is like when you're going closer to the ocean, you can smell the ocean, the smell of that ocean first, and then you can hear it and you can see it. All this as we master them. So mastering the senses, refining the senses is the journey in some sense. So Jnana Gharana Indriya is called in Sanskrit, which is sense organ of smell. Nose is dominant in earth element, point 1. So we notice that at point 1 there is A and B. From the center of the sternum going down 1 finger and going 4 fingers into the left side of your chest is point B, and 2 fingers above is point A. These sub-points are very important. Working on these points is the be-all and end-all of the progress. At point B, we let go of lower tendencies. Point A, you make the intentions, because point A field, these are all vibratory fields. And point A vibratory field is directly connected to the consciousness of the Guru and to the source. So any sankalpa you make, you get the power from the Guru's heart. So if you want to transform your character, you make all these intentions. And these in turn are connected to point A1. In point 6 also there is this sub-points which are called A1 and B1 in an introverted position. And again at point 10, these A2 and B2 exist. And here we may ask, actually 1, 6 and 11 have the same anatomy. Why is that point A2 and B2 are only in the 10th point? Why is it not in the 11th point? Because after you cross the Sahasradala Kamal, which is at the top of your head, point 10 is before that. Once you cross that, it is godly region. And in godly region, you cannot have impurities. If it's impurities, it is not God. It is not his presence. That region cannot tolerate any impurities. So A and B are in point 1, A2, B2 are in point 6, A1, B1 are in point 6, A2, B2 are in point 10. And so the effectiveness of Babuji's, Lalaji's, and all our great masters' techniques are, when you are simply working on point A and B, you are automatically working on A1, B1, A2, B2. And what happens? The grossness from above descends. Why is that the masters are saying that we are able to achieve this ultimate liberation within this lifetime, in one lifetime? Because at the higher regions, the impurities of the past lives are stored. For that, you have to take another birth. Instead, that heaviness, the moment this is lighter, the heaviness drops from A to B2 to A to A1, B1, and then it drops to A and B, and you keep cleaning this point. As long as you keep cleaning, that keeps descending, and you become lighter and lighter and lighter, which qualifies you to move from one vibratory cycle into the next. So point one is one vibration. If you look at like a maze in these games, computer games, they have to solve certain problems and then they move to the next level. So this practice of A and B is of absolute importance. Absolute state of balance and identicality. Mergence with the absolute at point one. With meditation through mergence at each element in point one, at each element. So we have to meditate on each element in point one. The instructions we will give further as we go through this PowerPoint. So we have to meditate and merge at each element in point one. And then we acquire and master the qualities of earth and all other elements, by which we acquire patience, non-judgment, contentment, lightness, tolerance, and acceptance. And the real state of balance, sthita prajna, that the Lord Krishna talked about, the state of inner poise, balance, and the state of undifferentiated state. And you get rid of all these lower tendencies. And that is only possible when we meditate with the help of pranahuti, the life force. That is why Revered Daji keeps saying, take 2 individual meditation sessions a week. Meditate every time there is a possibility to meditate with the trainer. So when we are moving from point one to point two, I just talked to you about this maze and like a computer program, how do we move to the next point? This is the journey. So when we actually meditate at the center of the point, and then move to 12 o'clock and meditate at that ether point and master that, and go to 3, 4, and 5. And when you come back, because here the thought flow is in clockwise direction, then naturally, when all these bonds are unknotted, because of your meditation, you are able to move into the next. This is like an automatic jump. This is how the journey happens. When the master moves you from point 1 to 2, if all this is all clear, it's just one thought and he moves you there. And that is what Revered Daji once talked about in his talks, where he said, he was with Revered Chariji Master, and he was at that point 3 for a long time, working on himself, and Master was whistling, and he just turned his head like with his whistle from right to left, and immediately Daji moved to point 4. That is the power of the Sankalpa. It's not the Master has to sit down and give you a sitting. The Masters know, they feel your heart. They feel the journey. And when we are ready, it happens even with one whistle. And this getting ready is our business. And let us hear Revered Daji's talk.
When we meditate, after meditation, we should spend at least 5 to 10 minutes sitting quietly and observing the condition. We have acquired the condition, but next step is to make it livelier and to make it enliven. It means to give life to it. And this giving life to it and intensifying it happens only through one process, by giving attention to it. What serves in making concrete very solid is the spraying of water. Similarly, our conditions, spiritual condition, gets crystallized very clearly in our heart when we pay attention, simple attention. And as we move on, it slowly we develop oneness with that condition, and merger is automatically. Merger at each chakra means experiencing each chakra with all its intensities. See, often people say, sir, I don't feel anything. But how are you going to feel anything? You don't pay much attention to the spiritual condition, to even the meditation also. See, meditation should not be done like a ritual. See. It is something, as we were talking yesterday, something you desperately wait for every moment. Oh, As soon as it's morning, I'm going to meditate. Out of love, out of bhakti, out of intense love to achieve and transform ourselves, you see. And when we meditate with such love, conditions will be created. And it will be so intense that you cannot miss those conditions. You will enjoy those conditions. And more you enjoy those conditions, it becomes part of us. So when we talk about understanding the nature, the qualities, the conditions of each chakra, which I mentioned to you, sometimes if you do have time, in the leisure hours, you focus your attention on the heart and meditate, right? As usual, thinking that divine light is present in my heart. Sometimes you can also think that, okay, let me pay attention to the second chakra and see how it feels by paying attention there. But my primary attention is always, I say, on the heart. Because whatsoever may happen on Atma Chakra or whatsoever may happen on the fourth chakra, you will feel it only in the heart. It's like, your child is in his bedroom. He is making a sound, he's calling for something, but you're hearing with your ears, though he's there. Likewise, the condition is echoing from the fourth or from Brahman or from the second, but the feelings, they always arise in the heart. So that is why the meditation on the heart is so crucial for all of us. When we meditate.
So here Revered Daji brings us to a very important aspect about meditation is all about paying attention, a focused attention, and feeling it in the heart. So wherever the journey happens, the vibration of, say you are journeying at fourth point, it echoes in the heart. And where is this location? Where the heart beats. You're able to feel it. So when we are making efforts to imbibe these conditions during the day, what all we have to do is, whatever we do, our attention is focused on that particular point. You're through the heart. You are focusing on that particular point through your heart. What is happening at point 2? You're looking into your heart. And that whatever is happening at point 2 echoes in your heart. And that's how you read the condition. That's how the master reads. He's not going to every room of, when he sees us, he's not going and checking, oh, what's happening in Uma's room 1, room 2, room 3, room 4, room 5. No, his vision is on his heart. If something is there in my 5th point or 6th point or 7th point, it echoes it vibrates with him. So he's able to say, oh, this girl is at point 7, let me move her to point 8. If she's ready. So this is how we need to bring dedication to our sadhana, to the practice, by learning to observe. That is why, if you look at the pictures of Babuji or Daji, or if you hear Chariji talking about Babuji, he says one eye was always on the heart. And that's why if you look at their eyes also, sometimes it looks like they're not straight like us. So how do we master this first point? Apart from our regular practice, we have to do our morning meditation, we have to do our evening cleaning, we have to do our bedtime prayer, do our intentions at point A, we have to do the point B cleansing. We have to do all this, but find somehow 20 minutes. Extra 20 minutes in a day, and we meditate on the location of each element. And this is the exercise for this week. And try and see how it brings transformation in you when you did this exercise. So on day 1, you take time several times in a day. First, you take 20 minutes by sitting and meditating. Then when you're cooking, just pay attention to this point. So day 1, you meditate on the center of the earth element, the first point. So what is meditation? Paying attention. You're paying attention, focused attention to the center of the first point. How do you know where the first point is? You make an intention. You don't have to see it. You make the intention. I am just meditating on the center of the first point, and I am observing it. I am absorbed in it. I am becoming one with this point, and I am acquiring the qualities of this earth element. You make that sankalpa. It is all in the sankalpa. How is the sankalpa made, intention made? With prayerful, with will, knowing that it is already happening. Sankalpam is made with confidence that it is already happening. At the same time, it has to be in a state of prayer and humility. What is the power of prayer? Humility. And then you are bringing your focused awareness to that area, and then observe and see the reaction, how it is happening inside you. What is happening as you are doing this? And day 2, move to the 12 o'clock position of the earth point, the first point, and do the same thing. Meditate with the intention that I am acquiring the qualities of this ether element in this first point. I'm becoming one with this ether element in this first point. I'm completely merged with it. And the third day, move to 3 o'clock position where the fire element is, and do the same thing. Fourth day, move to the 6 o'clock position to the water element and practice the same. Fifth day, move to the 9 o'clock position where the air element is and practice that. And on the 6th day, you will come back to the ether element. And that day, just meditate on the entire point. And even think that you are journeying through this entire surface, meditating like you are going through the entire circle of this point. Because in the journey, there is circles also that Babaji gave, this expansion. And these circles are, we are going inward towards that center. So it's almost like you're journeying around the point. And then on the 7th day, you will notice, if you have thoroughly meditated, if there is enough progress, you are able to directly move from here, move into the next point, which is point 2, the ether. So, and now we move into the center of the point 2, if this journey is done correctly. And by journeying through point 1, we have completed the journey of 7 points, including the point A and B. And when you journey like this and feel merged and settled at each element, this is called Layavastha, settledness at each element. AEIOU, acquiring the condition, and live and imbibe oneness and uniting. So what are the practices that will help us to journey through the point 1? We have to do our point A, meditation. We have to do our point B, cleansing. Point C is Revered Daji's discovery, where he says that likes and dislikes are there, and vibrations from the external world enter through this. And point C, if we are able to be in remembrance, we won't allow these things to enter. And point D is where heavy guilt is stored, and only with bedtime prayer and repentance, which we already understood in the previous classes, that we will be able to get rid of such heaviness from our system. So daily practices of ABCD, cleansing, meditation on each element within the point, and meditation with right intention to strengthen the character. So this point A, intentions, they bring about character changes. And there are so many intentions we can make, even during the day. If you have 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, because all these point A and B practices are only to be practiced for 5 minutes, never more than 7-8 minutes. So at bedtime, bring your attention to point A and make the intention. All the divine qualities of love, humility, purity, and simplicity are coming to me from my guide. Why is that we are saying guide? Why are we not saying the source? Why are we not saying God? Because God has no qualities, no attributes. He is nothing. He is beyond nothingness. The same thing with the source and the absolute. But that qualities that give us qualification and give us that power of ascension towards the higher regions are these vibrations of love, humility, purity, simplicity. They're all a vibration, a purer vibration. And that, because the guide is in the human form, we can connect to him who is in this earth plane. Our capacity is not, our Wi-Fi is not so strong that we can connect to the source. So that is why we make this intention. We always connect to the consciousness of the guide, the living guide. So all the divine qualities are coming to me from my guide. All divine gifts are available. Everybody feels they are brothers and sisters, and my thought is one with them. All men and women are my brothers and sisters for brothers. All this we went through in the previous classes. We will just do a quick review. And another statement we can make is correct thinking, right and understanding, honest approach to life is developing in me and everybody in the world. And Revered Daji recommends this practice very deeply, because this is, without practicing the yamas and the niyamas of the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, it is not possible to progress. And this is what it is, correct thinking. When we have the correct thinking and right understanding, we never do wrong things. We are always honest. Nobody can tell. If we are wearing colored glasses or not, we are not able to see, we fall. But when we are wearing clear glasses, wisdom is clear. We do not make mistakes. So real seekers are coming towards the heartfulness way to be helped by the life force, and they are getting the help of the perfect guide on the planet Earth. And other affirmations are, I am soaking in the cosmic vibration of balance. I am balanced. I am peaceful. I am courageous. I'm humble. And when we end the meditation, we make the thought that all my senses are in a state of balance, because the entire purpose of our meditation is refining the senses. So we have to help our journey by making that intention that my senses are coming to a state of balance. They have arrived at their original character when God created us. When the creation began, when we were designed as a human being, those senses were perfect. We overutilized them and brought them into imperfection. So we are making the thought, senses are coming to a state of original character, balance, and all my feelings are in silence. That means the mind is in silence. When the feelings are in silence, when we move from thinking to feeling, as Daji says, with feeling is how we merge with that ultimate. And when that feeling becomes silence, it becomes akin to the ultimate state. And even he says, Lalaji Maharaj says, when he gave this technique, that even undue attachment towards the Guru also drops off, where you are truly connected to his inner essence. All the chakras and the points are in the original state of absolute balance, and they are in harmony with each other. And this we should practice after every meditation. And we have to remove weaknesses from our field. We have to observe ourselves. We talked about this. So at the end of the meditation, when your condition is good, refined and light, you are absorbed in the divine, you make a will at point A, a prayerful sankalpa, that all my defects, particularly this weakness of fault finding, criticizing and blaming others, complaining and stubbornness, are leaving me for good, and I have no attachment to it. Because these weaknesses pull us down. They make our vision not on the Guru, because where should our vision be? It should be on the goal, the cherished goal that we want to achieve. But where is our vision? It is in finding fault with others, criticizing others, complaining all the time, blaming others. And what is it that's not letting us move forward is our stubbornness in our way of thinking. That is called jid. And Lalaji says it is a very big weakness. With this jid, we cannot move forward. So we may use this technique to we even complain about our Guru and blame him, doubt him. And all this will leave us with sankalpa at point A. And point B is there to release lower tendencies. We already went through that, where all the impurities are leaving from point B as smoke, and my soul is glowing in brightness. And this needs to be practiced before morning meditation. And this is the visual of how point B cleansing is. At point C, you establish remembrance, because that is where all the impressions enter into the field and they go towards every location. If there is too much anger reaction, it affects point 3 and it gets stored there. So with the constant remembrance and the presence of the guide is established, nothing enters. When there is a guard at the entry, he won't let anything enter into the field. And that guard is the guide. So maintain your condition during the day. And how do we do that? A lot of times we don't know, how can I be in remembrance? I don't know how to be in remembrance. And you make the thought, I'm absorbed in the source, which is the Guru's consciousness for me. For me, the source itself is my source, not the ultimate source. I'm absorbed in the consciousness of my Guru. Everything around me, animate and inanimate, is also absorbed in the same source. And during the day, remain in a meditative state with a prayerful suggestion, and maintain a prayerful state. And maintaining this inner vibration is the journey. They talk about these states of being of Sat, Raj, and Tam, where in Raj you are very active and Tam we are very lazy. Sat is that state of balance. So bedtime introspection, we already know, where we connect our heart to the cosmic heart of the guide and we turn that light on, and so we are able to observe ourselves. We are not beating ourselves up with guilt. We are simply turning the light on to see where things are not kept rightly, and you are cleaning up the room. And that is what bedtime introspection is, where you place them in front of the guide and accept. And when we practice this, come to the deepest core of our being. And there is a Hawaiian system known as Ho'oponopono, and where they say, I am sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Babaji Maharaj in his whispers gives a beautiful poem. He says, a poet has said, the harvest needs the dew to make it ripen. The water drops. And man has the need of tears. And even Daji says, shed few tears at the bedtime for true transformation. And all the philosophy of life is summarized in these few words. Tears, tests, and tears are the lot of all human beings. Sooner or later, they must go through them. Now, if you want to evolve to the 4th grade, to 5th grade, to 6th grade, you have to pass the test. So also, if we want to evolve from point 1 to 2 to 3 to the cosmic region, we have to pass these tests. And what is the test that you are being tested on? The subject that you studied. So what are you going to be tested on when you move from point 1 to 2? Are you balanced? So tests, tears are the lot of all human beings. Sooner or later, they must go through them. Humanity suffers. It advances in this vale of tears, where its recourse is to look towards the sky and beseech grace. Our sky is our Guru's heart. The time of sufferance and humiliation will finish one day. Let us work to release souls and make them foresee the divine splendor. So, in this technique of absolute mind technique, this can cure depression. It can strengthen your mind. So remember, when we are traveling to the higher regions, the mind has to be very strong. It has to withdraw the power of those regions. So being depressed and crying is not a good sign. You cannot traverse in those areas. And sometimes, when Revered Daji says you are not ready to work as a prefect, we should not take it as a negative thing, because your mind is not strong enough to withstand the power. It's like a child. It has to grow. So this technique will help strengthen our mind. What is this technique? It is like when you want to play beautiful music, you have a violin. If it is out of tune, you cannot play music. You have to tune it. And what do you tune it with to? You tune it to a perfect violin. And then you start to play the music correctly. So also our mind, which is imperfect, has to be tuned to the perfect mind. And what is the one perfect mind that we know? That is the cosmic mind of the living guide, which is connected with the ultimate. So my mind is connected. First, there is 4 steps in this absolute mind technique. Connect, be absorbed, become identical, and become balanced. So my mind is connected to the absolute mind of the perfect guide on the planet Earth, who is connected to the ultimate. Because a living guide is here on the planet for some time, then he appoints his next and his next. So we always connect to the living guide on the planet Earth. My mind is connected to the absolute mind of the perfect guide on the planet Earth, who is connected to the ultimate. My mind is absorbed in the absolute mind. My mind is identical with that absolute mind. And my mind is leaving its perverse tendencies, negative tendencies, and it's acquiring the qualities of the absolute mind. By this technique, what are you doing? You are acquiring the qualities of the absolute mind of the master. So your mind is becoming masterly, and my mind is balanced. You make the sankalpa, my mind is balanced. And some people, when they suffer from this depression, privately revered Daji once recommended that even clean point C, just like how you clean point B, you may take for a couple of months, clean point C and C. Combine together this point C and absolute mind technique, we can get rid of depression from our being. And praying before we eat is very important. When we overeat, this Annamaya Kosha is overburdened. So when it's overburdened, it needs to borrow money from Pranamaya Kosha, the energy from Pranamaya Kosha, not money. I mean, like when you're broke, what do? You borrow money from somebody else. So also when Annamaya Kosha is overburdened by overeating and eating in a negative way, it has to get energy from the Pranamaya Kosha, which is the energy sheath of the fire. And then when Pranamaya Kosha, the energy sheath, is depleted, your mind cannot think and your wisdom is not there. So everything, all the points affect each other, all the energy sheets affect each other. That is why eating wisely is important. So prayer before eating helps refine this Annamaya Kosha, the food sheath, and promotes the journey of point one. And that's why in the ancient times, after they eat, they used to take a half an hour nap, because now the energy is depleted. They have to furnish, replenish the energy. So they rest, and only for 20 minutes. So Annamaya Kosha is where we undergo the play of effect of karma, which is connected to point one. To help this food sheath, eat light foods, sattvic foods, which will promote lightness, calmness, and peace of mind. And if we eat heavy foods, we drain the energy of the guide. Also, occasional fasting will help. So we have the universal prayer, 9 p.m. prayer, where we make the intention at point A that real love, faith, and devotion is developing in us and in all. And we write in our journal. Journal writing is of absolute importance, because when we focus our thoughts and put it in the journal, it is directly communicated to the guide immediately, and the needed help is coming. So this is the long presentation, as I call, of the heart region. From next week, it won't be this long. We'll only go by point, second point, third point. But today we had to take time to explain. Each week, it will be different practices that we adopt during that week. So this week, the homework is practice the regular meditation and also take time to practice at the point one journey, and write in your journal how you feel, what are the changes, shifts, because Revered Daji actually advised that each point we should meditate for a couple of months, acquiring, enlivening, becoming one, and all this. He says practice for a couple of months on each point, then you master it. And it is all about mastering. And this is how character is changed. So let us now meditate first, and after that we will at least have a 15-minute sitting, and then after that we will answer any questions that are not already answered. Close your eyes softly. Take a deep breath and let go. Feel grounded to the earth. Feel the healing energy from Mother Earth enter into your being. And allow this energy flow from the tips of your toe to the top of your head. relaxing every speck of your body. Take a deep breath, let go, and center yourself. Come into your heart. Feel your heart. Enter your sacred space. Bring yourself to a state of humbleness in prayer, where the heart beats. Make the intention. The source of light is present within you. The light from the source is illuminating your entire being. Your mind is drawn to this light. Your mind is resting in the light. The ocean of light, the ocean of love is in you. You are a drop submerged in this ocean. Rest in the light with utmost reverence. Observe point 1. Let's meditate. That's all. Feel the calmness spread throughout your being. From this place of calmness, make the intention. All my senses are in a state of balance. They have arrived at their original character. All my feelings are in silence. All the chakras in my system are in a state of balance. They are in harmony with each other. Every cell in my being is imbued with the feeling of love and gratitude. Every cell in my being is absorbing the silence. Feel the calmness spread throughout your being. You may open your eyes when you are ready. Thank you all for joining the meditation today and the session today. We know we have gone over time, but it is needed. Next time the class will be for 1 hour. Have a beautiful day, all of you. If there is anything important in the question and answer session, I'll answer. Otherwise, we may exit. There is a question here. If we believe in Master, why we need to pray? As we know that Master is already there for our problems, so why we pray for myself or someone's problems? When we fall down, when it's hurting, there's a natural reaction in the human being because we are in the human world. You call Ma, everybody calls Amma, mother. So also, when a spiritual person following a guru, when you encounter problems, you know your guru knows, but without knowledge, our heart calls, Master, help me. Nothing wrong with that. It's a natural human reaction. How to remain in remembrance while studying logic and making logical actions. Like when we are driving a car, we start the engine and we do so many other things. Nowadays we are even texting. So you start the intention, the time in remembrance, and go about doing everything. Somebody is asking if we will cross the 5 chakras in this 5 weeks. It is not possible to cross. The journey takes time. But at least this understanding should give each one of us the dedication to practice. It is also possible to cross if somebody is so practicing intensely. I would not say that it is not possible, but that's not what this class is designed for, is to give us first have the knowledge and then practice. Whose thought flow to existence which is used in explaining not. That is from the source itself, and the dissension happened, and the flow itself is a vibration. The cosmic mind, the thought flow from the cosmic mind. Or knots and points are the same? Yes. If love is required to cross the heart region, how is point 3 is mainly about love? See, when the rocket is taking off, it needs that fuel, momentum to take off. So real love becomes that force, that momentum for the soul to move forward. Like, when you are longing so much physically, think about it. When you are longing so much, you want to go see your child or your beloved, or you make all your efforts, take off from work or do everything to reach that. So also that feeling of longing, intense love becomes an ascending force for the soul. What does color represents and its significance? It is just to recognize. Right? When you are noticing this color, it is the earth element. What is a name? It is Oma. So it is identifying you from the rest of the crowd. When all the arrows go upwards from 1 to 5, how the only arrow showed downwards from 5 to 1? I don't understand. Oneness and union, AEIOU. We often hear during Bandara, one jumps from one point to another point. Does it hold? That is the aim of the masters, is to move us as quickly as possible. If we truly practice the way we are supposed to practice, with dedication, this is possible. But our weaknesses, we stop our own growth. That is why, how many times did we travel to the masters? We should be up there in the ultimate, but why are we not? Oh, in the Annamaya Kosha, the arrow is pointing downwards. It's because it's connecting. We are connecting. We are showing the connection. So all the earth element of point 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, and it is connecting back to the earth element. That's why it's showing like that. So it is creating an energy sheath, a kosha. So the physical heart, I don't know where that question went. How to know which point we have reached? You have to follow your own heart to see, because you are the one who is experiencing. It is like, I'm eating the apple, and if I ask somebody else, how is the apple? You are eating the apple. Your interaction with yourself at that moment could be anything. If I'm sick, the same apple tastes horrible, but if I'm healthy, the apple is really tasty. So also the same thing with the journey, depending on our condition of how much we have let go. So the physical heart is the sensing point for all the points. It is the connecting link. You feel like, like Daji explained, you can hear with the ears. That is the function of the ear. So also the function of the heart is to feel, and only through the heart we feel everything. Exact point D used to be used during bedtime prayer. No, you just pray and that point gets released. It's like, you open the door and the air goes out. So like that, the state of our being in point D, when we come to such humility, it opens that point, and the heaviness is removed. The recordings will all be sent to everybody. When do we need to do the mind techniques exactly? Any practice you can do anytime when you have time to focus. We will send the PowerPoints also, so it can be used. At times I feel settled, and at times I feel nothing. That is the journey, because the journey goes like a wave, so that is normal. So the impact of consciousness is the mind moves into thinking, thinking becomes feeling, ego gets refined. It's like whether the car is being tuned, they put oil or they put whatever to rotate the tire. What is the effect? The car runs smoothly. So whatever happens at every point, the consciousness expands. So our soul runs smoothly. Where can I get this material? We will. When we send the PowerPoint, you will have the information. Can we meditate on bed? Of course. But it is good to have a separate place where the atmosphere is created. When we meditate on in a particular room, as soon as you enter the room, you feel that vibration of that place. On attention. Focus your attention. When you are watching a movie, your husband is calling, child is calling, friend is calling, but you are so absorbed in the movie, you love it. I can't even hear my husband if I'm watching a particular thing that I like. So also, if you love this so much that your attention is there, you can't even hear anybody. When do we do absolute mind? You can do anytime. How long? Just any technique, 5-10 minutes. The 8 sessions, if whoever is registered, they will be sent to them. The recording and the PowerPoints will be sent out so you know what you need to do. Point D, we do not meditate when we do the bedtime prayer and repent truly, that point gets released. You feel jealous. Everybody feels jealous. I'm jealous of everybody that is around Master enjoying the tour now. It is okay. We have to be easy on ourselves. Just keep doing the cleansing and the heaviness will release. What is the attitude of point A? What do you mean? What I mean, we meditate on point A. It is a vibratory field. It is connected where you make intentions. And attitude is always any intention you make humble. Best way to pray. We sent out the recordings. Please go through that so you have real understanding. Any prayer has to be from the heart with humbleness. When there is a lot of emotional imbalance, mental imbalance, unable to meditate, what can we do? Do not meditate at that time. Just do your cleaning if possible, or if just get a sitting from a trainer. Point B, cleaning once a day before morning meditation. Slides and recordings will be shared. This is a bypass road, I said, when are the chakras independent of the conventional 7 chakras. Yes, in the back of our spine, all the chakras are there. They all exist. It's not that they don't exist. We took a bypass where Babaji discovered a new path. So the journey is easy. You are just observing the point. The question is, are we to think that the divine light of these points? You meditate. We are doing our regular meditation. This is extra work that we are doing. Just observing the point at the center of the point, absorbing the qualities of that. Do we need to know all the things to move forward? We don't need to know anything. But it helps. All of us are in different points. Can we find out ourselves? Ask your heart, and whatever the heart responds. Whatever anybody says, we have to always follow our heart. Now, we are not cleaning each element in the points. We are just observing. We do our regular meditation, and as we are doing this extra work on each point, you take time, week, 2 weeks, 1 month. Babuji said I took 3 months off to arrive at a particular condition. The location is given very clearly for all the point A, B, and C. It is from the physical center of the sternum, 1 finger width going 4 fingers width in B. So physical. About point 5 and the rest of the points, we will talk about it when we come to those points. This is a valid question. I'm looking at the chakra from outside perspective from within. This will determine whether I experience a clockwise or an. When we are looking at our own heart, we are going clockwise is you're going towards your left hand and moving further. And finally, you are coming towards the chest. And when you are going anti-clockwise in the next point, you are going outward. So we will talk about that first. For the first point, when you go to the top, you are looking at yourself and moving towards the left side of your chest is the third point. I hope I made sense. I think I'm tired. If the team can copy the questions, we'll answer them later. We will see you all next week. Thank you.